Vamos! Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to a world's first for the Football Part podcast as we bring you myself, coming to you live from Brixton Radio in Lambeth, and as ever, Monsieur Colin Kazim Richards, as I live and breathe over in La Grande País, Brazil. Monsieur Kaz, how goes it?
It's all alright. Missing you guys.
It's a pleasure to be catching up with you. Explain to me and our viewers, please, exactly where you are.
I'm in Sao Paulo, just having a little break with the family. Lucky to have a home here, so it's nice, when the kids get time, when everything aligns, I'm able just to come home, essentially.
So your children, both born in Brazil?
I got 3 kids.
Sorry, 3. All 3 born in Brazil?
Thanks, Seb. The listeners thought we was
Welcome to today's Football Part podcast with me, Seb Ewan, and Colin Kazim Richards, coming to you live from Brazil. Colin, you have 3 children. Were they all born in Brazil?
No, just my youngest. My youngest is born here in Sao Paulo. My other 2 are born in England, but that was more political. That was more. I was playing in Turkey at the time. I knew my firstborn was going to be a son, was going to be a boy, and I didn't want him to maybe have the same problems with the military process as
your military service.
Yeah, because it's mandatory, So flew my wife to have my first 2 in Turkey, in England from Turkey, and then straight 3 weeks later they flew back. So they're born there, but that was about it until about a year ago.
So for eligibility's sake, basically you've got England, Turkey, and one of them could possibly play for the Seleção. In fact, all 3 of them via the mother, right?
All three of them. So my eldest son is obviously grown up in Brazil and in Mexico, majority of his life, and my daughter. My youngest, the first 3 years of his life, he was here in Sao Paulo and then in Mexico. So for the last 18 months only, they've been in England. But yeah, they can play for Brazil, Turkey, Antigua. Can you believe it? Antigua. Also, we have Irish heritage as well. Yeah.
So you got your pick.
My family, my family's name are Jacob and Sheridan. So we have Irish as well. But obviously, with their mum being full Brazilian, majority of their DNA makeup is Brazil and Amazon.
So listen, we'll stick with Brazil as well, and one of our favourite managers, Don Carlo, now Brazil manager. Been in the job for a few months as well. What has the early reception to Carlo Ancelotti's South American adventure been like?
Oh, the reception was amazing. It was like a film star came over.
He is a bit of a film star, though, right?
Yeah, he's doing all the events. He's got crazy. How do you say? He's got crazy aura. I think that's what the kids use that now, right? Aura farming. He's got crazy aura. He's very stylish, away from everything. So it was great PR, great marketing, unbelievable. It was like he's been doing every event, going around. He's been in the north. He's just been everywhere. The reception has been amazing, even to the point where, and this is from his own merit. So this is not to put. He's only got the job because he's his son. His son has just got the Botafogo job as well. Yeah, so it's worked out to be an amazing time for the Ancelottis, who deserve it. They've been immense. His son has been part of the reason why Real Madrid has been that good. I think he was the one that was doing all the coaching, and Ancelotti is more of the managerial, the player to player. But is someone who I think at this moment in time is great for Brazil to have. You know, going through what they've been through. Brazil is the country where a coach has the least time to adapt, the least time to lose games. Man, I've seen a coach get the chop after one game. Yeah, crazy. If you look at Botafogo, right? I know we spoke about John Textor before. Since I think this is his third season?
Yeah, we're going into the third season, yeah.
It's his third season, and I'm sure that they've been champion in that time as well, right?
Yeah, first season of Texas ownership, they won.
Yeah, and I'm sure that they've been through 6 or 7 coaches. I'm quite positive in that.
Wowzers. So a very, very high turnover, basically.
Sorry, say that again.
A very, very high turnover of managers.
High turnover. The Brazil, and a close second is Mexico for sure. Like the turnover in managers is something that's it's crazy. And the reason why people need to understand that as well is because only a few teams are privately owned, and that's only come in the last 3 years by law. Okay, last 3-4 years. The rest of them are voted in by presidents who only get a term of 2 years. So presidents don't get a time. Teams don't get a logical plan to prepare for like 2, 3, 4, 5.
5-year plans don't exist in Brazil.
Don't exist. So every time a president comes in, he doesn't want what the last president's got. He wants to cement his own, and that's going through. That could be, and it literally is, sponsorships, marketing, players, coaches, what goes on at the training ground in terms of what they want to implement, you know, changing training ground names, you know, they want to leave their mark, their history in case they're gone, you know. The Corinthians president, he's just resigned, but they tried to impeach him 2-3 times. It's like the bureaucracy out here and what goes on is something that it needs to be a documentary, a film on it. It's something incredible, and that's why people don't understand the complexities of playing and adapting out here, you know.
And have there been many successful foreign managers in the at club level?
Yeah. Right now, the Palmeiras coach. If I just get it up for you, Seb, I will tell you what he's actually won. And then he's Portuguese. Then you got Jorge Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
He was probably the first real successful foreign coach. He won everything with Flamengo when he was here. That's how I think he like remapped his name again. He came to Flamengo and he just destroyed. There was a team playing crazy football at that time. And now you've got the coach at Palmeiras. If we look at what he's actually won, sorry.
It's all good. It's all good.
So his name is Abel Ferreira.
Mm-hmm.
Ferreira, yeah. And if we look like at his transfer market, right, he has actually sorry, it's just coming up. But right now, I think if we go the last 6 years, he's won 4 titles.
Wowzers.
You know, Libertadores, he's won Copa do Brasil. He's won everything. Everything there is to win here. Every competition he's been in, he's won. You know, so and that's why now in Brazil there's quite a big expat of Portuguese coaches. Started from Jorge Jesus and then what he's done, and now I think there's about 7 Portuguese coaches over here now.
Okay, so there's a strong European, we should say, contingent of Portuguese speaking. So imagine the adaptation with that language barrier not being there is going to be a little bit little bit easier. What is the generic Brazilian fans' view on the English Premier League as well? How do they consume it? Can you see Premier League games on TV in Brazil?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. How they consume it is more of like it is how can I say, the best league in terms of not in terms of quality, but in terms of marketing and how big it is. Like it's the biggest league in the world. I think everybody says that, right? But I think this has been an argument that Cafu, the legendary Cafu, it's a good question, you know, that's crazy. The legendary Cafu says the reason why. Sorry, let me just get it out. The reason why the Brasileira Seleção Brasileira, sorry, so the national team is not as good as what history entails is because we're making players for the Premier League. That's what he believes. He believes that Brazil need to stop making players for the Premier League and make the players that they used to make, that go to Spain, that go to Italy, that have a way of playing, and not to England, because when they come back and play for the national team, they don't know how to play. That's his official quote.
Do you agree with that?
Listen, I think when you see, I have to be very careful in what I say, right? With all jokes aside, because I don't want it just to be, and it's not from you, this is what the internet does. They just clip things, right? And they make it clickbait. I understand what he's saying. Whether I agree with it is totally different. But I definitely understand, because if you looked at the last time that Brazil played Argentina, I think it was 5-0, right? Or 5-1, if I'm not mistaken. And he's a very smart man, and he's always been a smart man. Smart player, smart man, right? And his evidence, his example was that game, if you look at it, if you looked at Brazil's team, they had, I think, 9 players from the Premier League, right? So you had players that were playing at the likes of Brighton, Wolves, and this was his quote, not Colin Richards, right? This was Cafu's quote, right? And then you looked at Argentina, and they had one, which was Romero, right? And he's like, look at the difference. And he says, when Brazil used to play, our players are coming from Barcelona, are coming from Real Madrid, are coming from AC Milan, are coming from,
the world's leading clubs at the time.
The world's elite clubs at the time, right? And he's like, now our players are not coming from the elite clubs. And this is not, he's saying it's not a disrespect. He's like, they are not fighting for championships. They are not playing a way of football that now, when they come back to Brazil, is quite similar. In terms of, he's like, when you watch Spain play, it's like Spain, how many players play in the English Premier League? Which is right? Not a lot. And they all understand, and they all have a way of playing, which now when you come back to Brazil, it's easy now to adapt that. Like if you look at, listen, Rafinha did unbelievable at Leeds, but we can say he wasn't where he is now, right?
Yeah.
That's fair to say.
Yeah,
right?
if you're playing Championship football, it's not the same as playing Champions League or Club World Cup, yeah.
Right. And you're not, whether he wins it or not, he wasn't going to be in the question of a Ballon d'Or, right? No one was talking about that as much as he did there. Now, if you look now, he's probably the best player as well in the national team.
Would you go as far as saying that at the moment, João Pedro, number 1 in the national team?
Or Rafinha.
Rafinha, sorry.
Yeah, definitely one of them. Neymar hasn't been playing. Listen, when Neymar's on the pitch, Neymar is Neymar. But for how he's been playing, he's been one of the best players for Brazil as well. Now, listen, don't get me wrong, because there are players that don't play at the elite teams that should be playing, like João Pedro. Okay, he's a Chelsea player now, but he was a Brighton player, right? And for me, I've been screaming his name to be.
You've been a big fan of his for a long, long time.
Listen, man, he's unbelievable. At times, he's unplayable, right? But
he's not R9.
in this, he's not R9. He's not R9. No nobody's going to be R9.
Yeah, but there's not R9. There's no Ronaldinho. There's no Cafu. There's no Dunga at the moment. There's a bit of a paucity, a bit of a lack of that Brazilian identity. Is that fair to say within the national team?
Yeah, because the players now, because of the rules and regulations now, obviously the Brazilian can go to England even quicker now, as you know, right?
Well, that's it. I think we'll make the point very, very quickly. This is all to do with employment law and work permits. So prior to, I think it was 2020 or 19, we had EU law, basically, which allowed free movement within the EU, which meant that as an island, our leagues were absolutely inundated with European players. And it also facilitated us to go and work abroad, go on holidays without having to have a visa or anything like that. Now, what's changed since that date anyway is that they've introduced a thing called ESC, and the players basically have a qualification criteria to be able to come in there. It's a point-scoring system in order to get GBE to qualify for that work permit. So now the Brazilian league is sort of classed quite highly within that too. It means there's more facility. There's more facilities for players to come. The Brazilian player, prior to maybe 4 years ago even, was a bit of a misnomer in England. We didn't have that many. Historically, we look at, the Brazilians at Middlesbrough, at Juninho. That was the first, certainly in my lifetime anyway, the first Brazilian players to make an impact. After that, we've had Coutinho. We've had David Luiz. We've had Willian. But other than that, there was never a total influx. Now, you've got teams like Bournemouth, teams like Wolves, with their South American links anyway. They're signing Brazilian international players.
Yeah, and what I can understand what he's saying is, see, I'm not saying I agree with everything because, okay, the Premier League is the Premier League at times, and as a player, you want to get there as fast as you can, right? You do. If you're over here, they do, right? They see everybody makes it out like the Premier League. Oh well, like the Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo argument, or can he do it on a Tuesday night
at Stoke,
for example? But I tell you something. Can you do it on a Thursday night at 10 o'clock at night in Bahia? Can you do it at 10 o'clock at night here in Bolivia? Like, do you understand what I mean? Like, do you understand? So I just never understood those quotes. But so in terms of what you're saying, what's happening now for me is that the development of what these players were having before, apart from the exceptional ones like R9 who left when he was 17, they're moving really quick now. One season in the Brasileirão, and they're getting bought, and then they go in, and they're not playing now. They're sitting down playing under-20s football now in England, and not necessarily sometimes going to first team, but they're playing first team here. They're playing and they're learning, and it's tough, right? So what happens now is you was the man, or you was being seen as the man, and when you're not playing anymore,
you disappear.
Everybody either catches you up. You understand? They catch you up or go past you, right? So I understand in the aspect of what he's saying in terms of an identity, a way of playing. When you go to England, everything is different. There's no identity. Not everybody has a way of playing. It's game to game. You understand what I mean? It's fight and fight and fight. Sometimes the quality of slowing down the game, dictating the game through your tempo, with having the ball or without having the ball.
I think what you said as well was really interesting. Is on a hot Thursday night in Bahia, for example, you've got the altitude in certain places, which is going to make a real big difference. The air is thinner. You've got the humidity as well, so there's less oxygen in the air. And it means your lungs are having to work harder to get the oxygen around your body. It's harder. It's just more difficult. There's less oxygen. You are more tired in doing it. And it means the pace slows slightly. Mm-hmm. There are lulls in these games. There's a tempo. There's a rhythm. And the best players manage to slow the game down at the right time. It's like Vitinha. Vitinha is the prime example of that player who has that ability to slow and speed up the game as well, which is something generically I would associate more with South American football.
100%, because what it makes you do now, you have to think faster as well, right? You have to think faster. You have to be 3 steps ahead. Because I'll give you an example. We went to Colombia. We was playing in the Sudamericana, which is like the Europa League, the cup that you hate. Yeah.
Oh.
Right. Right. And listen, no one told, and I landed, and like my heart just is beating really fast, right? It's like beating extra fast, right? And so I'm lying down, and it's night time now. We've got there at night, and I'm lying down, and I'm thinking, honestly, all jokes aside, right? I'm thinking to myself, like, something wrong with me, because I didn't know. No one told me when we was traveling, right, that it's in altitude. And so my heart's beating, and I'm lying down now, and I'm actually getting quite, I was to my missus, like, on the phone or WhatsApp, like,
Something's wrong.
And yeah, and what you have to understand is, yeah, it seems crazy, but my cousin was one of the first young men, who's 16 at the time, to die in England because of a heart attack playing football, right? This is when we were 16. So I've had tests all my life because they said it was something in our family, right? So I had tests all my life. This is one of the reasons why the defibrillators now are
mandatory
to the public. Yes, because of him. It was actually his death and my aunt doing a, what's the word? You know when you get people to sign...
the petition.
A petition, there we go. And she took it to legislation, and she took it to the courts, and now, through the grace of God, you know, defibrillators are easily accessible, because if you had a defibrillator, you wouldn't have died, right? So anyway.
Sorry, but that's just the most amazing story. Because if anybody that, you know, is watching this at all knows of anybody who has had heart issues or anything associated with football, you got to thank Kaz's aunt, because she's the lady. That's amazing that made all of that happen. So if you're, you know, your amateur club, for example, has got a defibrillator, they're carried out to the pitches as well with a first aid. There are certain requirements that I had for it as well. This is a lifesaver. This is going to have... She has saved the lives of people. It's amazing.
Of many people, at the expense, obviously, of my cousin, but maybe it was for a bigger plan to save millions of people. He died at 16. His name was Anthony. My aunt's name is Alison, so Alison Richards. And she was one of the forefront of making sure that was implemented, along with my other aunt, Sonia, and obviously some family members as well. So all of us at that time. So I was 16, I was Berry at the time. I got called. And my cousin was a bit of a klutz, yeah, should we say. He was always falling down, breaking something, breaking his arm. And we got the call. And like me and my dad was like, because I was with my dad at the time, and it was crazy because I never used to come back. It was so hard to come back from Berry, like, for the weekend.
Yeah, you just stayed there, right?
I remember it was a Sunday, and I was actually at Walthamstow Lodge, which was called, Wadham Lodge, which is Walthamstow, whatever now, I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, I was there playing football with my dad. Imagine, come down on my day off playing football with my dad, right? Got the call and was like, oh, what's he done now? Nah, he's broke his arm or something. And got to the hospital, and he was dead. You know, he had a heart attack. Playing for his Sunday team, which, you know, if you look at it now, you can see the bigger picture, and what's come from it has been amazing. But at the time, you know, 16, and I think there was over 1,000 people there. He was loved by everyone. It was crazy. Anyway, so to go back to what I was saying to you in the story, right, Seb? So for me now, I'm sitting there thinking like, yo, what's going on? My heart's beating. But when I mean fast, it's beating rapid, like 2-3 times faster than normal, or it's skipping a beat, and it's hard. I'm grasping air, like I can't catch the air, right? Like lying in the bed. So like I'm messaging my wife. My wife's like, yo, go to the doctor. I go to the doctor. The doctor starts laughing. He's like, hey, like. He's like, claro que sí, like, of course, yes,
of course.
Like, you know where you are? Yeah, like, I'm like, well, what do you mean? I'm getting a bit like, yo, you take it, because we...
Don't laugh at me, I've got a serious,
Yeah, I'm so cool with everyone, our relationship's like, so I'm thinking like, he's not taking me serious, and he's like, no, we're in altitude, we're 2,000 meters above, and so he give me like, oxygen, they got oxygen tanks and a mask. Do you understand? I didn't do it because I felt silly, man. Do you know? I was like, nah, I'm not taking that. That's normal. But anyway, the next day in the game, man, Seb, crazy. I just couldn't. I couldn't get into the game. One of the worst games I had. Trying to adapt to that was tough. Was so tough. Nothing that I'd ever experienced in my life. But it prepared me because then I went to Pachuca, right? Which is Mexico City, and it's the same 2,000 meters above water, above sea level, which was crazy because I came from a team called Veracruz, which is literally a beach city, which is sea level. so yeah, so to go back in terms, I know we always go off on these tangibles, but to go back and be like, what happens is your brain, you have to think quicker. It's not just physical now. Your brain, you have to learn, you become smart, you become more intelligent. And it doesn't mean that you're smarter and more intelligent than players in England. That's not what I'm saying. But
you just have to adapt.
Different. Exactly. Do you know what I mean? And that's what he's saying. I can totally understand in terms of, he's like, they don't have a way of playing now. It's totally different when you're at, like, for example, you're at Man United playing a back three with a 5 in midfield or whatever it might be, and then you're coming back to Brazil to playing total football or whatever it might be, like rotation. Like, do you understand? So I get what he's saying, and it does make sense. Okay, it does. In terms of a country that's got 5 stars, yeah, 5 World Cups, it totally does make sense if you think about it, right? It's logical. And then when you think about it in terms of technical now, it is as well, okay? Do I agree with it? Partly. Other things I think that influence it are, the world is a very different place now. So a lot of just the focus on football, whatever country everybody's in, there's other things that are now taken away from just the focus on whatever people are trying to do. You know, all this social media, kids are just doing things for social media. They're not actually learning how to do it. They just want to know how to do it straight away. And then they get, what's the word? They get a bit overly
obsessed.
I don't want to say depressed. I don't want to put. Yeah, they get upset and they can't control when they don't understand that they can't do it at the first time, because Instagram doesn't show that Neymar's been doing it since he's 6 and he's mastered it now at 30. Do you get what I mean? And so there's a lot of things that distract and come into that. But I do think that is defo partly as well. So massive answer. Stay with me, but it's very layered.
No, but I mean, it's not a simple yes or no, that one. But we are, as we sit today, we are 367 days away from the 2026 World Cup final. Just to go through, this is the 26th edition of the World Cup, and for the first time, it's going to have 48 teams. So of those teams, you're going to have 12 groups of 4. The top 2 will qualify, with the 8th best third place teams going through. We're also going to have 3 host countries for the first time. We're going to have Mexico, Canada, and the USA as well. So with the World Club Cup, we've had a lot of talk about the conditions, something that we just discussed as well. How much of an impact or how much of a difference is there going to be between the conditions playing in Mexico and Canada, for example?
Before we go on to it, Seb, can I ask you a question? How do you feel about that 48 teams?
I mean, listen, the breakdown of it is that you're going to have 8 from Asia, you're going to have 9 from Africa, 6 from North Central America and the Caribbean, 6 from CONMEBOL, 1 from Oceania, 16 from UEFA. Going to be 16 European teams qualifying directly for the World Cup. What do I think of it? I think that FIFA's job is to grow the game of football. That's their mandate. That's what they want to do, and the World Cup is their showcase event. If we're going to have new nations qualifying for a World Cup for the first time, I don't really see it as a bad thing. You know, if we look at the further, when Ireland qualifies, Scotland or Wales historically qualified for tournaments, it's a small nation, but it's a massive, massive thing. It engenders a lot of positivity within that country. From a selfish point of view, it's, you know, you've got after the round of 32, you've got 8 games to reach the final. So, there's a lot more jeopardy involved. There's a lot more that can go wrong. I don't know if that means it's going to be more exciting. I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of teams are going to get turned over. Remember Germany, I think, turning over Iran was either 7 or 9-0. There's likelihood that could happen. But at the same time, though, I think the payoff for that is that you will have quality games. You'll have upsets. You'll have, new countries. Remember when Trinidad and Tobago qualified for the World Cup? The Reggae Boys. It was amazing. Sorry.
For me, I totally understand what you're saying. FIFA's job is to grow football, okay? But I don't see that as growth because I don't think just because you're adding more teams that the quality of the football is going to be on par with the level of amount of teams that you got, right? So in terms of, I just don't believe a World Cup that is something that not everybody should be playing in. What I mean by that is everybody should get the chance, and if you're good enough, your country make it. Not you get 1 point in the group stages and you can still make it like into the actual competition, because that's what it's going down to now. Third places now, you could just play for draws and you can qualify for the World Cup. I don't think you should get there on merit. This is a competitive, the best sport in the world, right? It's like NBA calling themselves world champions. It drives me crazy. You're not world champions, bro. You are champions of America. You understand what I mean? And it goes into this, like, qualifying for the World Cup in football, right, is like the upper echelon of
it's the highest level of that profession that you can possibly reach.
You know what I mean? And I can sit here and be happy and say I never qualified because we was in a group of death and we weren't good enough. We was not good enough. We got knocked out by Croatia. We got knocked out by Belgium. We wasn't good enough at that moment in time. Now, what I can sit here and be proud of to you and say as well is there was a time when the Euros were so much more difficult. The European Championship was so much more difficult.
Yeah, there was a much, much higher level of team, much closer games because of that lack of...
That lack... Do you see what
of those peripheral teams, if we're being respectful, yeah.
We was lucky to come... We were not lucky. We did so well to come third, and we should have got to the final, but we didn't. And that's how football goes. Do you understand? Me getting there on merit, it's so nice to see... I don't know. For example, Fiji get to the World Cup. No, it's not. It's not.
What you got against Fiji?
Say again.
What you got against Fiji?
No. I don't mean in terms of, listen, look, I don't want people to think I'm heartless because I'm a kind person. I'm not a nice person. I'm kind. So I'm not just going to say nice things for the sake of saying it, I'm kind. What I say, I mean. And what I do, I mean. And my intent to everything is kind. But sometimes you got to tell the truth. And for me, just because you're going to have teams that not a lot of people, or countries that not a lot of people have heard of, it's really nice that they're there. It's not, because it's on merit. Because now, when you go, and like you said, now you're seeing, I don't know, like Argentina destroyed. Don't get me wrong, host nations are host nations.
Yeah,
right?
Argentina versus Kuwait, for example.
And it's like an 8-9-0 spin-off job, right? To me, as somebody who's worked at this from 7 years old, it's like, huh? Like, that's crazy. This is the World Cup. This is the World Cup. Like, especially here, we're talking about Brazil. Like, what it means, seeing it, like, growing up, it was quite different, You didn't understand it as much. Like, when you start playing at countries abroad and what they do to try and get there, yeah? Like, the CONMEBOL group is insane.
And that's the thing. That doesn't make sense to me. They've only got 6 places plus 1 playoff. Asia has got 8. I don't. That for me, there's a bit. I don't know if.
No, but think about it. Why is it though? Think about that.
Well, I think. Listen, I think we all know it's down to money, but there is a coefficient basis. I'm not sure how much that plays into it, but ultimately, I think you're right. You could say it's going to be a bit of a procession, these early games, and maybe the World Cup. maybe to the detriment of it, won't actually get going until the round of 32. That's a possibility.
And this is what I'm saying. And then I understand loads of money and loads of things will come. And it's part of the game, right? That is part of the game. It's a business. But at the same time, when you're talking about, when you're talking about the World Cup, this is the World Cup. This is what, you know, I put it like this. The Americans think the Super Bowl is big.
They're in for a surprise then, basically.
No, but this is what I'm saying to you, right? They think the Super Bowl is big. This is the World Cup. This is like eclipses anything that they can imagine, right? So now might turn on the league and see X against X and think, what's going on there? Don't get me wrong. Like, listen, my friend, he's qualified. I think Uzbekistan, they qualified, right? I think that's right for the World Cup. First time in history, and it sounds great, right? And it looks great. It does. First time it all, but that's because if you opened it up to 48 teams. If that would have been the same 32 or whatever it is, imagine now how that looks. That's how you get better. Not because you've opened it out. Now that you've opened it up and the level of football gets watered down a little bit, right? When it stays prestige, they need to catch up. Now you need to really work and make their country football better. You really need to get good coaches over there and make them as good and catch them up, because teams have got better, don't get it wrong, yeah, because especially in Europe, and I say the Common Ball, right, it's really competitive, right, but when you open it up to 48 teams, it might look like, but they're not really getting better. It's like, I don't know, making Champions League qualification in England go to 10th place.
Yeah, there's a similarity there. I mean, I'm loving the passion with which you're speaking. So it begs a question for me. What was the first World Cup that you remember? What was the one where you thought, yeah, this is me. This is what I want to do?
So we was talking about off camera. I totally remember 94. Okay, I remember 94. Obviously, that was when Senor Diego Maradona, that crazy celebration, right?
Yeah, he was a bit wired.
He did, right? With wine, yeah, right? And then obviously Baggio, he missed crazy penalty.
Baggio and Diana Ross both missed penalties. Baggio and Diana Ross. So Diana Ross was the opening ceremony, I think it was.
Opening ceremony. Did she miss? Yes,
and she had to take a penalty. And basically what should have happened, it was all choreographed, what should have happened is when the ball crossed the line and hit the back of the net, the goal fell apart. Only issue is that Diana missed it and the goal fell apart.
I remember now. I remember, yeah. But the one that sits in my mind, the first World Cup for me, had to be 98. 98 and then 2002. I know you're like, oh my God, making you feel older even again, right?
No, I mean, listen, my first proper World Cup that I remember, Italia 90. Italia 90 was the one. I remember Mexico 86, but I was 5 years old. It was just a basic, vague memory of having a Mexico 86 digital watch that we got from the Sunday market. But Italia 90 was really the first one where I couldn't stop watching it. It was a need to get more and more and more. And it was also a brilliant World Cup because England in that particular tournament did very well, got to the semi-finals. I think as well, at a later date, I got to work with a lot of that team. The people that I was watching as a kid, the people that I admired, I got to work with them later on. Guys like Paul Ince. And it was very, very different.
That's crazy.
And USA 94 as well. My other abiding memory from it. I don't really remember any of the goals. I don't really remember any of the games. But I remember Ray Houghton. Ray Houghton scoring against Italy. So he was about 30 yards out, nothing too much on as well. Basically, just a looping shot over Paliuca goes in. And Ray Houghton did a forward roll as a celebration. And I remember speaking to Ray. Ray's a lovely, lovely guy. Love him. Irish through and through with his thick Glaswegian accent. I said to him, I said, Ray, why the forward roll? He goes, I don't know. I just did it. And it was, I don't know, just having that ability then afterwards to discuss those emotions, what was going through for something that affected me so heavily as a kid was absolutely amazing. But you were saying that France 98 was the...
Yeah, but you know what? You've just got, you see, that's why it's good to have a great conversation. You've just got me like now remembering 94 World Cup was George Hadji and Romania with the blonde hair.
Ah, yes, and there was...
Imagine, and who?
There was that BBC commentator, I forget his name, Jimmy Hill, and he got absolutely panned on Match of the Day because he said, I don't know, listen, with the Romanians, maybe if they can get any slight incremental advantage. So Jimmy Hill was talking about marginal gains, that 0.5% difference. And he was absolutely canned at the time because he said, listen, if they're all blonde, it just makes it easier to find each other on the pitch. Easier in your peripheral vision because they're standing out. Everybody just looked at him like, what? What are you on?
And they did crazy in that tournament, right? They were unbelievable.
That was
and
Dimitrescu
you know, like
as well.
You know, like you just said, you got to work with people from that World Cup, the 90. Imagine this. Who brought me to Galatasaray was George Hadji. He was my coach.
The big boy.
So I went from Zico. Imagine this. I went from Zico, right, to Aragones, yeah, to George Hadji. Oh, yo, I was like, listen, I done all right.
I mean, listen, it's all tempered out as well because we can't forget Ronnie Taylor as well. But anyway, we'll move on from Ronnie. France 98. I remember I was actually in France during that World Cup, and to be in the country when that country is both the host and winner is something different. The celebrations down the Champs-Élysées, these are nights that you never, ever, ever forget. We got my cousin's car, we got flags, we got fags, we got little cigars, and we hotboxed the car, went down the Champs-Élysées with a load of flags, and just had a brilliant, brilliant evening that I'll never forget. Tell me about your experience, France 98. Why did it stick in the memory?
Oh, not good. First of all, what a tournament. Like, what a tournament, bro. I can't even begin. Like, Brazil, up until the final, Brazil was just on fire. Like, it was just crazy.
Well, that was the famous final where all this controversy surrounding
that's why I said not good. Yeah.
R9. Okay, so one of my friends, a guy called Ricardo Setien, was the Brazil team press officer during that World Cup, and I believe that he is one of 3 or 4 people who was actually with Ronaldo when this was all happening. I said, "Come on, tell me." Never told me. I still got absolutely no idea what happened. What was the story in Brazil? What were the rumors?
Man, there were loads of rumors, like silly rumors. You know, there was too many rumors at the time. Like, because what it is, obviously, I'm friends with my brother Carlos right now, so you know, I've spoken to him about it. And there's a documentary on it now, right? Isn't there, right? On the 98 World Cup. That's actually done by an agency called Entourage. They did that. But there was all types of things, you know, stuff like he partied the night before, he had loads of girls the night before, that's why he wasn't great, you know, he tried to kill himself, like loads of stuff.
Just madness, right?
And do you know what happened as well? Like his family was receiving crazy threats after that final, which is quite scandalous, stuff like that, right? But yeah, for me it was sad growing up because obviously not growing up at that, watching the final, because R9 was the guy. As much as France was amazing, and Zidane and Henry and all of these guys were playing, and obviously Patrick Vieira as well, right?
Well, I mean, that was the team was Djorkaeff, Zidane, Laurent Blanc, Lizarazu, Thuram. Was a strong side. I think that Henry, pretty sure he made the squad, didn't play though. He was in the Euros later. But that French team, that final in particular, if we're looking at historic players, lineups, I think arguably, certainly from my generation anyway, that's arguably the final that's had the most historically regarded players in it. So
if you look at the lineup, like you just said, if I get the lineup up quickly. I can't work as quick as you. I need to.
Mine's all locked in my head somewhere.
There we go. See, you had loads of Arsenal players at that time, man. That's why for me it was a bit tough, but I still wanted Brazil to win. So you had the lineups. Oh, here we go. They were Dida in goal, Carlos Romano, Andre Cruz, Gonçalves, Zé Carlos, Doriva, Emerson, Zé Roberto, Giovanni, Nielsen, Edmundo. That was the substitutes, right? And the starting team. So it's how crazy this is, right? Zé Roberto, my neighbor when I was playing here in Corinthians, right? Crazy, a friend till this day. What a nice guy, all right? And then obviously Taffarel, who was in goal.
Claudio Taffarel, yeah, I remember the top.
Say again?
Claudio Taffarel, remember the shirt.
Exactly, right? He already broke my heart. Galatasaray against Arsenal in the final. You remember UEFA Cup? Yeah? He saved all our penalties, didn't he? Yeah? Right? But he turned out to be my coach at Galatasaray as well. Okay? Crazy. And then you got Roberto Carlos, right? You got Junior Bahia, you got Alder, you got Cafu, Dunga, Sampaio, Rivaldo, Leandro, Bebeto, Ronaldo. I played with Bebeto in how you can say. So in December, Brazil, they do these like Neymar's friends against Seb's friends. So I played in a game with Bebeto, me and Bebeto up front, crazy, like it's mental. And Cafu was down the right, like, it's crazy, like, I swear to God, mental, right? And then now, for France, crazy team. You got Barthez, Lizarazu, Desailly, Leboeuf. That's crazy for me. Still to this day, I can't believe Leboeuf has won the World Cup. Thuram, Karembo, Deschamps, Petit, Jokaev, Zidane, and up front was, I don't know how you say his name probably. How you say, is it Guivarch?
Stefan Guivarch.
Guivarch, there you go.
Well, listen, I mean, you're saying that you can't believe that Frank Leboeuf won the World Cup. I'm still stunned that former Newcastle player, Stefan Guivarch, he's got one of the stars. Absolutely incredible.
He started the game, Guivarch.
Yeah. I mean, people forget. People forget because the goals were scored by Petit and Zidane. But yeah, Guivarch was our striker. He was a false nine before false nine had been even invented. And nobody else knew he was playing false nine either.
So what you're saying, it should be called the Guivarch, not false nine?
I reckon that's the new phrase of doing it. I'm not going to call it a 9.5 anymore after the amount of crap that I got for calling it a 9.5 as well. We're going to call it the Guivarch.
I'm going to do that as well. But look at the bench, though. Crazy bench. David Trezeguet, Thierry Henry, Christophe Dugarry. Oh
Dugarry was a legend, an absolute legend.
So for me, it was hard because look, you got Robert Pires, you got Patrick Vieira, so loads of Arsenal guys as well. And, and that was a time where Arsenal was Arsenal, right? But Brazil has always been Brazil, and then what Ronaldo went through was crazy. So, but this is what I'm saying, yeah, Seb, to go back to what we were saying about putting 48 teams, yeah. Look at that quality on the pitch there.
Yeah, I mean,
do you see what I'm saying?
I mean, and if we look at the current French lineup as well, France have got talent. You know, there's
France's national team is
the strength in depth that we've got in positions all over the place at the moment is absolutely ridiculous, especially across the front line and the back line. You know, we've always been strong in the midfield positions. Defensive midfield for me is a French position. Numéro 6, you know what I mean? It's something that we churn out. But we haven't necessarily always had that 9 or that potency since Henry. Since Henry left, we haven't had that star. Dembele's moving into it. It's coming. One of the other players as well who's been in the press a lot recently, France caps as well, but not in the most recent squad, is Hugo Ekitike. So, Monsieur Ekitike has been linked with a move in the last couple of days to Newcastle United. That's come off the back of Liverpool's interest in Alexander Isak. What has emerged today is that Liverpool have apparently agreed a fee or are close to agreeing terms with Eintracht Frankfurt for the signing of Ekitike. First of all, what I'd like to ask you is Liverpool, should they go for Isak?
Seb, do you want me to be non-partial, or do you just want me?
No, I want full, unadulterated Kaz.
Don't upset me, Seb. Listen, I'm a football fan first, you know, and Liverpool should break the bank for Isak. Doesn't mean that Ekitike is not of a level or soon won't be, but Isak, they know exactly what they're getting. He's adapted. Probably best striker in the league, yeah. That's with Haaland. I didn't say best goal scorer. He's the best striker in the league. He's the best forward in the league.
Best all round.
Okay.
All round, yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time, football is a business, yeah. And double FP or triple FP, what is it called? Triple FP, is it?
Yeah. The FFP. Basically, what we're getting at is that if they've got 130 million and they've already spent 100 and something on Verts and they've already signed Frimpong, you know, they're and Kirkez, where is the money coming from Liverpool? Well, let's break it down. You've got 130 million for winning the Premier League. You've got your Champions League as well, 60 million probably next season coming in. They've expanded the stadium a little bit more, and the new TV deal is absolutely massive. The other thing that Liverpool do, Liverpool sell very, very well. So I will ask you the question, do you let Diaz go to Bayern Munich for 80 million to sign Isak?
I do, because it seems from the outside looking in that he wants to go.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. But
Right.
I will caveat that very quickly because
Go on.
you know what it's like. You've been at a club, you've signed a contract, and you think, or somebody else calls you up, turns your head. Okay, you've had a call from a bigger club, with all due respect. A club that's playing at a higher level of football or European football, something they're operating at the very, very top of the table. Newcastle aren't far off, but they're operating at the very top. Would most players in that situation want to go? Yeah. However, Alexander Isak is not most footballers. Cut a bit different. On a personal level, I don't think that he wants to go into Newcastle and strong-arm them into it. I don't think he's that character, and I don't think he's that personality.
No.
And unless he has a release clause, he's not going, because Newcastle don't need the money. They don't need it. So I think it's going to be... I don't honestly see it getting done. What I do see happening is that I do see Liverpool moving on to Ekitike and arguably signing him and keeping Nunez.
Maybe, but do you also feel like, I feel like that Nunez deal that didn't get done is also affected why Liverpool have gone for a cheaper option in terms of money, not player, in terms of quality. I'm talking about just money now. I think that also had something to do with it, because that was 60 million that they... How much were they paying? How much was Nunez?
Yeah, he was in the regions of it. It was a big signing off for them, basically.
Yeah.
But
So remember, football, like you know more than me being on the inside. That factors in a lot, you know. And I think you know what you just said makes actual total sense in terms of I don't think Isak's gonna go and do a Garnacho, for example.
yeah,
He's not gonna do that because it's not time for that yet either. You know, he's just made history there, just won a cup there. It's a massive club in terms of okay, they're not yet going to win the major trophy of like a Premier League maybe or a Champions League, but you're in it to win it now. So you might be like, you know what, I'm gonna be playing at Newcastle this year in the Champions League. Did they make Champions League?
last season, yeah.
Newcastle made Champions. Yeah, they made Champions League. I'm gonna be playing in the Champions League. We're making good signings, but the problem is now if he sees Guimaraes go, yeah, right, that could change his mind. Like if big players are going out, it could change his mind. But I think you're right in terms of now. If they wasn't in Champions League, could be a different argument because I think he just wants to try and best himself always. I don't think it's about for him the Instagram and like the prestige of like, yo, I just got sold for 80 million. Like I want this, I want that. Because I think they do hold him massively there. The city, the fans, the club. So I think
He's in a great place, yeah.
But Liverpool is Liverpool in terms of Liverpool every year are gonna win something. Might not be the Prem, but then they subside it by Champions League, subside it by then Prem if they won't win Champions League. So I think when you come from when you come from not winning much, yeah, as a player, and you want to win, sometimes that can turn your head. It's not about the money because for him it might not be, you know, like I don't know how much he's on. I don't like to pocket watch, but when you're earning that kind of money, a difference of 10, 15 grand is not.
Yeah, if you're on 190 grand a week, getting 225 is not going to change your life.
Yeah, do you understand what I mean? So, but in terms of going into an institution, because Liverpool is an institution of absolutely winning, yeah, that can be something that's close to his heart.
Yeah,
I think you're right though, and I like to say this, yeah, he is changing the game in terms of profiling of players, and we said that before, didn't we?
yeah. I mean, he's. I remember saying to you before, tried to sign Isak for a championship club about 6-7 years ago when he first moved to Spain. Heard he wasn't too happy. Had a few conversations, sounded him out, just offered him football basically. As it stands, there, nobody had the confidence to go and sign an unknown player from Spain. What can you do? But if we're going on,
what I mean by that, Seb, is more of he's changing the profile of player. Eritrean, Ethiopian, South Sudan, those type of Somalia. Sorry, you understand what I mean? Those type of players now, like that people wasn't really looking at. In terms, did you see? Oh, what's his name? Is he playing in Sweden? It was yesterday, not yesterday, day before. Destroyed the Champions League qualifications. A Somali boy.
yeah, I mean, and
What's his name?
I think this is going to happen more and more, especially, I think within the England national team, certainly within the next 10 years, we are guaranteed these players will be coming through of this particular ethnic origin as well, because they are your prototype footballer. Strong, tall, lean, quick, technical, great aerobicity. You know, it's everything that you're looking for. It is, like you said about Isak, it's that all-round player. Now, Ekitike isn't Somalian. He's from Cameroonian origin. Comes from Reims, the Champagne region of France initially. He started his career locally with Reims, signed with them when he was 10 or 11 years old. Very, very tall guy, quite slender. Made his debut in 2020, late 2020, I think it was.
Liverpool like that profile lately, don't they?
Listen, they like the profile, but Newcastle tried to sign him. Newcastle have tried to sign him in the 2022 season. That's when he had his breakthrough season. They had a pause for COVID, 21-22. He's, I think, played like 20, 25 games or something like that, 10 goals, 4 assists. That's when he first came onto the radar. that basically attracted the interest of PSG. So it was at that point that you had interest from Newcastle, you had interest from Leverkusen. There was a lot of top European clubs that wanted to take Ekitike. He was loaned to PSG with a compulsory purchase, and that cost around about 35 to 40 million euros. He had a season and a half at PSG, and it was difficult. First season, he scored 4 goals, 3 goals, 4 assists. And the second season, up until Christmas, he played 1 game. You know, Enrique not having him, not a Luis Enrique player. We've spoken this before as well.
It doesn't seem like he's 1 meter 90, 6'3".
It's not. He's not. He is mobile, and he's not a back to goal striker. He's a bit of a Peter Crouch, for want of a better comparison. So anyway, he goes over to Eintracht Frankfurt, and after 3 months, he still hadn't scored any goals, to the extent whereby the German media christened him Monsieur Zero But, Mr. Zero Goals.
That's crazy.
So credit to Eintracht Frankfurt, because if they went with popular opinion, they're not signing him. Anyway.
But they've done well in a few years, haven't they, Frankfurt, in
They signed him for 16 million euros. 16. We're talking about, 80 odd million euros on that now. They're going to make in excess of a 400% profit on that player.
They've sold strikers quite a bit, though.
Frankfurt historically is a selling club as well, and they do it.
What's his name? What's the boy? They sold to Real Madrid. Is it Jokic?
But yeah, it's a historical selling club, and they're doing it very, very well. The one thing I will say is that for me personally, I think he is a little level below Isak, personally speaking. And if you're asking me...
Oh, yeah, but Isak didn't come at the level he is now, though, right?
I don't think he was that far off, personally speaking. I watched him when he was 16 years old, representing Sweden at under 17s. And all he was a little bit more slight. I mean, not a hell of a lot more, because he's not a very big guy now. But he had the height, he had the movement. He was just a little bit less coordinated. You know, when the young tall guys go through that gangly phase where they can't necessarily connect anything. He was a little bit going through that at the time. But you could see the intent of what he was doing. You could see the intelligence in his play. And he was always 2 steps ahead. The thing I will say about Ekitike, and why Liverpool may arguably go for him, is that his interplay is good. You know, he will make the pass. If there's that option to make the pass and there's a better percentage chance of a goal as a result of that, he will make the pass. So he's quite a selfless player.
Between him and Nunez, before Nunez came to Liverpool, not now, okay? So who...
Before Nunez came to Liverpool, listen, he had a hell of a season at Benfica, but it wasn't a historical success. He hadn't done 4 or 5 seasons of confirmed goal scoring. You know, if we look at Harry Kane, he will get goals every single season. Whether you like him or not stylistically, irrelevant. The guy is going to get you goals. Nunez, I don't know, I see similarities with Drogba's first season at Chelsea as well. Drogba was not the legend in his first season after signing from Marseille. He had a lot of hassle. Couldn't settle in London initially. You know, a lot of difficulties with that first international transfer for him as well. I still think there's life in Nunez. You know, if he can get confident, because confidence is key to a striker. You know that better than anybody.
I just think, what I see with Nunez, right? And this is now a coach perspective talking. What happens with Nunez is he doesn't focus in terms of he don't focus in terms of when he doesn't have the ball. So he becomes a liability for his team in terms of he's always offside. He's always offside. Like, he's so offside. It's crazy, right? And it sounds small, but when you get like 6 offsides in a game and you're giving the ball back to the other team, it does become a liability for your team, right? 6 or 7 times, right? Also, he misses a lot of chances that have nothing to do with quality. So what I mean by that, the balls come across the box, right? It's a tap-in.
Timing, right?
All that is timing and focus. You know, he's not focusing on the connection because he's thinking it's just a goal. So that can become a real nuisance for a coach. Like, it become tiring because that then is not a point of coaching now. You're not a 16-year-old where we have to explain and coach you and develop you into making you understand why you shouldn't be thinking goal. Because, you know, when you're young, you might be thinking to yourself, that don't make sense. I know I'm going to score. Do you understand what I mean? But as soon as you just take your mind off it, you're either missing the ball, you're not connecting, or it's going wherever, right? For a man that's 24, 25 years old, you shouldn't have to keep coaching that. Do you understand? Get back into position as quick as you can. Don't be offside all the time. We don't want to keep doing unnecessary runs when we don't have to. Do you understand what I mean?
Does that come down to football IQ at the end of the day? Is that what it is?
It could be. It could be. Because he's played at teams where maybe he hasn't had to have that, right? Away from Benfica, I think.
Maybe, yeah, exactly. You know, maybe playing in a more simplified role, i.e., you do this, where you don't have to be so coordinated. You know, the best exponents of coordinated play at the moment are PSG, with their rotations and their press. They know what they're doing. They know positioning. The midfield knows what the front three is going to be doing. And when they set up play as well, they start off with a 3, they move the 4 into midfield. Everybody is coordinated. But if you have one player who doesn't understand, it all fails.
Yeah, it's gone. But you know what, Seb, yeah? I think, you know, if he was being used, hear me out, right? If he was being used like Haaland and only had to do just score goals, he would be very, very, very good, right? But the problem is Liverpool want more, and so they should. You need to do more outside the box. We're not just going to wait for you waiting in the box to score. We want you pressing. We want you doing this. We want you hunting. We want you to be the focal point. You understand? So I just think like his concentration in all over all aspects of the game, he just doesn't concentrate enough. He's not focused enough. He's not ready in terms of when he doesn't have the ball. It's all when he has the ball. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I think what Liverpool have lacked is Roberto Firmino, a completely selfless striker who is intelligent and who is thinking about every single pass. The detail on the assists that Firmino was giving were, for me, you know, I think he's an incredible player, Firmino. Now, I would say that Ekitike is more Firmino than Darwin Núñez. So from an Arne Slot situation, we've spoken about this before. You know, you can have a Ballon d'Or playing in your team, and the manager might not be having him.
100%.
So we've heard rumours that Darwin Núñez is not for Arne Slot, and if Arne Slot has just won the Premier League, he gets a striker, right? You're going to give him a striker. So the question is with Núñez, for example, I think if Liverpool want to do Isak, Núñez has to go for Newcastle. I don't think that Newcastle would be particularly interested in that. I don't think that Darwin Núñez wants to leave Liverpool.
You don't think that?
I don't think he wants to leave, no.
I don't think he wants to leave Liverpool for another team in England.
I just don't think he wants to leave.
But I can't see any teams abroad matching the valuation that they'll want for him. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I can't see anybody outside of the Saudi or the UAE leagues at the moment actually having the financial capacity to buy.
Because Napoli were trying to build him as the next Cavani, weren't they? That's what everybody was saying, right? But
yeah,
I don't know. It's a tough one. But I don't think he'll go. I don't think Newcastle will want him either. It just won't make sense for them, right? Like you said, I hope Isak doesn't go to Liverpool. Yeah, growing up an Arsenal fan. But for football, I hope he does. Yeah. And I like Newcastle as a team always growing up that played beautiful football from times of Andy Cole to Asprilla to Ginola, you know.
I've got to say, Faustino Asprilla was, when he arrived, one of my favourite players, just because the guy he played Joga Bonita. It's the first time that I've seen somebody play with that kind of joy and but that was...
What's his name? Solano?
No, Solano. I mean, I'm speaking about the era slightly before that as well. It was the Kevin Keegan team. And their centre-backs. You have Philippe Albert. And he would just maraud forward. He'd have shots. It was a different kind of mentality, that all-out attack. And, I mean, listen, if you play like that in the Premier League today, you get murdered. You get absolutely murdered.
Was it Robert? Left foot?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, that's the thing.
Newcastle.
But Ginola is, for me, the epitome of that Newcastle team. He exemplifies everything about that particular team that was brilliant, glamorous, and really put Newcastle on the international map as well. It was that team, including Les Ferdinand as well. What a team. They were absolutely outstanding. The Newcastle of today is a very, very different animal. If we're looking at FFP, historically Newcastle have been a bit in trouble, which is why they've had to have a couple, maybe 18, 19 austere months or so. But I think that next summer is the summer that Newcastle come out swinging in the transfer market. It's going to be interesting. One player who is still stuck, Brian Mbeumo. Now, I'm hearing that Manchester United are finding it quite difficult to agree terms with Mr. Mbeumo. Spurs decided very, very early on, you know what, we're not in for you anymore. We're just going to go off. They got General Levy. They signed Mohamed Kudus. Great signing. Have you been in a situation as a striker where you want to go to a different club and the club is saying, no?
What did happen? After the Euros, I came back to Fenerbahce and Inter Milan bid €7 million for me, got turned down.
How did you feel when it got, first of all, Inter Milan, giant club, right? Is that the first time you had a giant interest?
A giant in terms of marketing?
No, just a big club in a big league. If you've watched Football Italia and you shouted Golazio...
I hear what you're saying, but I'm just gonna speak the truth. My opinion. Fenerbahce is bigger in Turkey than Inter Milan is in Italy. So when you say in terms of a giant, yeah,
you were already at a giant.
Yeah, like a crazy giant club. Like I tell everybody that it's very hard for me to see many teams away from this country here and Mexico about how big they are in their country.
Yeah,
there's not a team in England that is as big as Feyenoord or Gala in their country. Not outside, like international wise, of course they're bigger. The Man Uniteds, the Liverpools, but in their country, right? They're not. You can't compare it. Okay.
So as a result of that, if there wasn't that draw then for you, it wasn't something whereby you were prepared to.
No. Whoa. Listen, Inter Milan is Inter Milan. You know what I mean, bro? That is, for me, they are a bigger club. They are an absolute giant. We're talking international giant now. You understand? But what I mean is by I was already at a club where you lose the game, you can't go out. You lose the game, the fans are at the training ground trying to get
in the geography that you were actually in, it was the most intense atmosphere. It's a huge deal.
Yeah, but I found out literally when the window closed that they'd turned it down, which was crazy because I'd only been there it'd been a year. They bought me for 1.2 million and you get a 7 million offer. So it doesn't add up. Now, what happened was they didn't turn it down. They said they wanted 15. That's literally nearly 15 times of what they bought me for, right? Understand?
Turkish directors of football.
That for me was the start of where things started. Now, I didn't feel disrespected. It was nice to have that kind of, 50.
Yeah, it's a big fillip, nice, right?
But at the same time, for me, it was like, you guys, and I tell you this now, what Inter Milan did was like, nope, didn't even bother negotiating no more. What, you lot are there and there, it's pointless negotiating. We're not moving. It's gone. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the truth of these things as well, is that these opportunities go.
And this is what I'm saying to you, Seb. This is where I'm getting at now. And that's why when I've wanted to move, I move. Because of that situation as well.
So Brian Mbeumo is currently back at pre-season training. So he's back at Brentford now. They're preparing for this Premier League season. Keith Andrews, his former set-piece coach, is now his manager. Apparently a few words from Keith Andrews has talked him into staying. Absolute rubbish. By the way, Brentford fan, not true. Brian wants to go. It's a fact of life. If you are in a situation and Manchester United or Spurs come from you and you're playing at Brentford, you want to better yourself, you want to try and be the best that you can be, you want to play in these big environments, and Brentford basically are holding out for more. Now, the upshot of that is that if Mbeumo does stay at Brentford, he will not reproduce the same quality that he had this season.
Right. Seb, if you think about logic and history, probably not, just because he might not be happy, like you're saying. I think before, he was so happy at Brentford, right? He didn't have nothing turning his head. He loved being at Brentford. They're making history. They've turned themselves into a Premier League team now. You know, he's been part of that building. And this is why I say to people, right? Yes, I am a coach now, being a player. I understand the business, and this is why, you know, when people, and this is why I say it's us now, people on the outside, media and pundits and everybody talking, right? They always got something to say about the player, right? But you tell me, has he not been loyal? He has, right? He's been loyal. He's stayed there. He's actually made history there. He's helped implement you guys into being a fixed team in the Premier League. Because when you think of Brentford now, they are a Premier League team.
They're an established Premier League team, yeah.
They're a Premier League team, okay? But the club will still make it difficult, and this is not straight to Brentford, this is just all clubs, will still make it difficult for players. You understand? So when players do what they have to do to get out, everybody moans, but when clubs are ready just to let you go and move you on or not, people don't talk about that. Do you understand what I mean? So, like, for example, I give you the Ozil situation when that happened. Who told you to sign Ozil for 5-6 million on 370 for 5-6 years? Sorry, on 350 grand a week or whatever it was.
There was no gun to your head,
right,
yeah.
Now.
There was no gun to the head.
So he's in his right to sit. Why should he now leave? But then when there's a guy who's on, I don't know, and it's not just about money, but let's say he's on 50 grand, he gets an offer from another club now, and now he wants to go, and you're saying no, he should do that. Do you understand it? There's no...
I mean, there's a couple of things. I mean, when I've been working at a club, my view is quite simple, but it's also just playing the game, Kaz. You know, you got a contract. When you sign that contract, you were happy as a pig in poop to sign a contract. Honour the contract. Honour it. You know, you're going to be here. You're committing yourself to 5 years, and that's that. If you want to get out of a club, guarantee yourself an exit clause. And if you're good enough, a club will pay that exit clause. And if you're not, they won't, and you'll stay. And that's the reality. That's the black and white of it. But if I'm putting myself in Brentford's shoes today, I would say that, do I want Brian Mbeumo at the club anymore? No, because his head has been turned. My personal feeling would be, I'm not sure if he's had this attraction, if he's been engaging with other clubs and speaking about a transfer and has been having conversations, because the agent's going to be in touch with Brentford, going to be speaking to them on a daily basis, informing them what's going on. And, you know, you'll reach an impasse. But the reality is today is that you've still got another 6 weeks before the window closes.
Question for you, though. Do you think him or his advisors or the people that work for him, are talking to other clubs, right? He's turning his head? Or is that good business? They're supposed to be doing that, right? They're supposed to be seeing what's out there.
Listen, your agent, if
doesn't
he's
really make
your
sense,
agent needs to be aware of what the market is for you at all times. So you will be having conversations, and we spoke about tapping up last week or the week before, and what you'll have is you'll just have meetings.
Hey, we ain't spoke about your tapping up thing. Look what's happened with Nottingham Forest, now. What's his name? Morgan Gibbs White, right?
Well, this is the point that we make was that
supposedly
with Gibbs White, again, it depends upon it. So you can have a release clause in your contract, but you've also got terms that mean that you cannot disclose what that release clause is. Bit weird, right? The only people that will know that, the player, the agent that negotiated it, and the club. So the agent is not technically allowed to go out and say, hi, by the way, if you submit an offer of 56, that happens. But I don't know, I've been in situations where we've had players who have had release clauses built into their contract, and then the Premier League club comes in, and the offer is exactly what that release clause is. We can't do anything about it. They've triggered that release clause. So the only thing that's going to change, as far as I'm aware, this kind of thing where a club strong arms a player or holds them to ransom, either way, you know what I mean? It's either one thing or another. It's the player who's agitating for a move away is normally how it's perceived in the press or how it's positioned in the press, and the club is the poor person who's going to suffer as a result of it.
So do you think Mbueno's done that though?
No, not at all. Have you seen any quotes from Mbuemo coming out saying,
but this is what I'm saying,
I really want to go?
Being at Brentford then, would you feel that his head's been turned?
100%, because it's Manchester United and Spurs. It's a Champions League side and one of the biggest historical sides in the country. When you're growing up, you don't dream of playing for Brentford unless you're a Brentford fan. It's the sad reality of it. So personally speaking, no, I think that players, you've got a few types of player, and it depends as well. If it was, Manchester City coming in for him or Liverpool coming in for him, maybe he would strong arm. There are levels, right? There are levels, and there's enticement, and everybody has a point. Every person has a point. And you can have the most happy player in the world who the following day just wants to leave. Something happens. But as it stands today, presently, Brentford's valuation of him is going to be around about 80 million. And they are completely within their rights to do that. But my thing for Brentford is that, okay, listen, if you can get around about that, if you get 65, get 70 for him, let him go now. Let him go. Take the 70 million, and Brentford have proven time and time and again as well, they can recruit very, very well. So let them recruit well again. Use that money, go up another level. Use that to cement 4 or 5 places up the table is personally what I would be doing if I had any association with Brentford right now. Let him go. Like I've said to you before, we had Michael Elise. Crystal Palace came in for him. They triggered a release clause. It's great. We had other players that clubs wanted. There was no release clause. You're not going. Black and white, right? You must have been told no.
We just went through that. I got told no. He didn't even tell me. I found out after the window, and I found out all the conversation. Yeah, it was tough, but what can I do? It was after the window,
And that's what it comes.
The thing is, what's crazy is the Turkey window is like 5-6 days after European, isn't it? So
that's the thing, exactly. It's all come crashing down. And I think we will use that, Kaz, as a perfect juncture to end today's simulcast, the world's first that's happened from Brixton Radio in Lambeth and from São Paulo, Brazil. And for now, Kaz, adieu. Hasta next time, man. Lovely seeing you.
See you later, bro.
Beautiful. Just stop the recording. It was all good.